Hey everyone! Welcome to Reality TV News Update, the place where you never miss a moment from your favorite shows. What went down in episode 11 in a Hail Mary move for the ages? Rick Devens has just increased the prize pot to $2 million, and the final 9 are thrilled, except for Joe, who's found some way to be upset after that tribal. He's annoyed at the Stephanie steamroll from the rest of the players, probably made worse by his sworn enemy, Rick, having a great showing. Then there's Jonathan, who just lost his number 1, making the rest of his game an uphill battle. But the others don't know he was the real mastermind behind the failed Aussie plan, so he can skate by a little easier without that target on his back. The next morning, Rick opens his special idol and finds it's only good to the final 7. Not as good as the fully powered version, but better than nothing. So now he's got to bulldoze his way to the end and be the undeniable champion of season 50. But once again, Joe's bitterness drags down the mood. He sees Devens' attitude as annoying and in poor taste. And Siri can't stand it anymore. She's done babysitting Joe, and Tiffany's tired of it too. But they can't let Joe go for personal reasons when he's such a crucial number this late in the game. Instead, they need to focus on cleaning out these idols to avoid some hellish advantage get into. 0. That means Rizzo and Ozzy might need to get tricked, not voted out, just encouraged to waste their idols without actually leaving the game. And after having an awful nightmare about going home with an idol again, Ozzy might not even need convincing, with no family visit in sight. The cast returns to their loved ones' letters for comfort. Ozzy regrets the strained relationship he had with his late father and what he said about him in past seasons, but Ozzy's evolved over his 5 appearances, becoming his best self not just as a player, but as a person. Rick gives him some sweet emotional support as a fellow middle-aged man, noting how different Ozzy really is now. He's not that cocky, bratty 20-something with a huge ego anymore. He's a sensitive, strong man who knows how to humble himself and express true emotional intelligence. Meanwhile, with a challenge on the horizon, Emily enters the fray and starts plotting with Rick against Siri. She's the secret mastermind, hiding behind all these idols and flashy players, and she's probably never winning immunity. So why not cut her now before she finds a way to sneak into the finals? With some killer strategic plays and gets the easiest sweep in 50 seasons? The necklace is up for grabs again in a Survivor Classic, Bermuda Triangles. It's a simple game of balance at sea, and with a mysterious twist that Tribal teased. It's one everyone could stand to win, as a previous winner in this same challenge. In far rougher conditions, Jonathan is the favorite to win and lives up to expectations, only to be beaten out by Tiffany by half a second. But in a shocking turn of events, production reviews the footage and finds out Tiff didn't make the transition to 1 foot in time, meaning Jonathan gets his second win in this challenge after all. And all the power that comes with it. So what's the twist? Well, it's a split tribal, so original, I know, to groups of 4, by random draw, living on the same island. Both groups go to tribal and vote someone out. And Jonathan's advantage is attending both tribals and voting twice, after strategizing with each group at his leisure. So are we just having a dumb twist every round this season? Because it really feels like it. And it's a miracle it hasn't blown up in their faces more than it already has. Speaking of miracles, I sure hope Siri has one on her side tonight, because the thought of Emily, Rick, and Jonathan blindsiding her when she's away from almost all her allies makes me want to vomit. First, Jonathan approaches the group of Siri, Rick, Emily, and Tiffany. Siri's plan here is to keep herself and Tiff safe, hopefully without using that extra vote. So with Rick having an idol, she aims at Emily. Jonathan's totally fine with Rick and Emily getting the votes. So now it's an even split as long as Emily puts Rick's name down to save herself. But Emily herself isn't dumb. This is a rough situation. But she's not going to sit back and do nothing like she did the last time she got voted off. Emily's ploy is convincing Rick to use his idol on her as a flashy move, idling himself out in humiliating fashion. It's a fun idea, for sure. But Emily's real move is going to Rick, telling him about the whole plan, getting Rick to save himself with everyone thinking he's saving Emily, and then Rick and Emily take Siri out with their 2 votes. Tiffany has her own machinations going, but not just in her own group. She wants Ozzy gone, and a strat chat with Jonathan gets him on the same page. They both need these idols out, and Ozzy's the biggest threat to their challenge dominance other than Joe, who has no shot of winning this season whatsoever. Sorry to the handful of remaining Joe fans. Meanwhile, down the beach, Ozzy goes to Aubrey and tells her, well, everything. He wants to go to the end with Cirie. Cirie has his extra vote. And Aubrey will be going home and hopefully voting for him at the end. Nice going, Ozzy. Thanks for ruining your number one's game for no reason the second you're off her leash. It's such obvious jury pandering, too, inspiring the eye roll of the century from Aubrey. So with his entire game out in the open, Aubrey goes to work throwing him under the bus to the other guys. She might have been an easy target tonight, but this is the exact crack she needed to scrape by another day. Jonathan arrives at the other beach and talks alone with Aubrey. Learning about Ozzy's entire agenda as well, does Jonathan trust Aubrey? Not really, but they need to make this move tonight regardless of trust, for both of their sakes. With the votes shaping up into a nasty Ozzy blindside, Joe questions the whole plan. He's tight with Ozzy. He doesn't want to work with Aubrey. He wants to play loyal, and that means letting Rizzo know about the plan. You know, Ozzy's numbered ally, who will probably tell him to play the idol. Back with Cirie's camp, though, the Queen Bee gets word of Tiff and Jonathan's Ozzy plan. Horrible news, but Cirie can't just fight it and blow up her game. In the process, well, more than Ozzy's blowing it up at least. Is there anything she can do to save Ozzy at this point if he thinks he's safe? Perhaps as Jonathan makes his rounds, Cirie tells him to let Rizzo know about the Aubrey plan if it'll get Joe on board. But Rizzo's not feeling this revelation one bit when he finds out. If Ozzy's just spilling his allies' plans for no reason but to satisfy his ego, it might be the better move to let him go home and apologize later. It flushes an idol, gets Rizzo closer to Cirie as her true number one, and gives Rizzo a move to his name if he sits in that final three. The only issue is Cirie wanting revenge if she finds out Rizzo backstabbed their alliance. But that's not how she's playing this season, so he'll probably be fine. More importantly than any potential upsides, he also risks losing guaranteed numbers, and right before the critical final 7 vote, that could be an absolute game ender. First to tribal are Cirie, Rick, Emily, Tiffany, and Jonathan. Will Emily and Rick's insane plan pay off and end Cirie's all-powerful reign? Or will Emily once again take the fall on day 21? Well, after Rick plays his idol on himself, we have a tie. Cirie used her extra vote and stacked the votes on Emily just to be safe and in a Ray vote. Emily is Ciried out of the game and takes her seat on the jury bench. One of the closest shaves I can remember, if Ozzy doesn't go to exile. Get that extra vote and hand it off to Cirie in the premiere. She's out in 9th place, and this twist goes down as one of the most season-ruining gimmicks ever. Thank you, Ozzy. The Jungle Man might have blown up her spot on the beach today, but he made sure she stayed safe to repair it another day. With that clutch move done, it's time for Tribal number 2, featuring Ozzy, Rizzo, Aubrey, Joe, and Jonathan again. Because letting someone vote in both groups totally isn't overpowered at all. Ozzy waxes poetic about his evolution as a player after 5 seasons for most of the Tribal. But when Rizzo doesn't let him know a bomb's about to drop on his entire redemption arc, the Jungle Man is blindsided with an idol in his pocket. Again, he could evolve as a person, but as a player, he was completely lost without Cirie to guide him for just half a day. An absolutely humiliating way to leave this game. And no amount of apologies from Rizzo and the others can soften this blow, as his prophetic idol nightmare comes true. So was this twist that bad after all? Well, I wish we could have just gone old school and done back-to-back tribals with some quiz in between. But production loves swap-screwing people to trim the fat this season. So I don't know what else I expected, honestly. Giving Jonathan a vote at each tribal was a bit overpowered, but it added an interesting back-and-forth dynamic we haven't really seen before. So maybe bring it back with more people left in the game, and the immunity winner can decide which tribal to attend. And then it'll be more balanced. The results of each vote were iconic for different reasons. Watching Cirie ruthlessly end another enemy in a crazy split vote goes hard in 2026. But I don't think we need to rely on twists to give us those moments in the first place, so I'm of two minds. This episode was great. We're entering a compelling and competitive endgame, but the journey here, much like this episode's great ending, has this weird asterisk on it from just how annoyingly twisty it's been. Pressure inside the game reached a boiling point in episode 11 of Survivor 50. And by the end of the night, fans were left stunned by a brutal vote that proved one thing once again. In the new era of Survivor, history always finds a way to repeat itself. With only a handful of players remaining, alliances were hanging by a thread. Trust was becoming nearly impossible to maintain. And every conversation on the beach felt loaded with hidden agendas. The $1 million dream was closer than ever, but so was the fear of becoming the next name written down at Tribal Council. The episode opened the morning after the previous Blindside, and the mood around camp was tense. Some players celebrated surviving another chaotic vote, while others quietly questioned whether they were truly safe. Everyone knew the game had officially entered its most dangerous phase. One castaway in particular appeared shaken. After realizing they had been left out of the last vote, they wandered the beach searching for answers. Conversations became awkward. Allies avoided eye contact. Every smile suddenly felt fake. Meanwhile, the dominant alliance attempted to stay united, but cracks quickly began to show. Different players had different priorities heading into the final 8. Some wanted to eliminate challenge threats before it was too late. Others wanted to target strategic masterminds who could dominate the jury at final Tribal Council. One player warned their alliance that sticking together too long could destroy all of their individual chances of winning. Another argued that now was the perfect moment to make a big move worthy of the jury's respect. As always in Survivor, loyalty was valuable until it wasn't. The reward challenge brought a much-needed moment of excitement. Contestants battled through a grueling obstacle course before facing a difficult puzzle at the end. The challenge came down to the players who had consistently dominated throughout the season. In a dramatic finish, the underdog secured victory and earned a luxurious reward away from camp. More importantly, they gained valuable time to strengthen relationships and gather information. The reward trip became a turning point in the episode because several players finally admitted they were nervous about the power structure controlling the game. Back at camp, paranoia spread quickly. One castaway began aggressively searching for a hidden immunity idol, convinced their name was circulating. Another player worried that the majority alliance was preparing to betray them first before making moves against outsiders. Nobody felt secure anymore. The episode's emotional centerpiece came during a quiet conversation near the shelter late at night. Two longtime allies reflected on how difficult the game had become. They discussed the emotional toll of deception and how every vote now carried enormous consequences. One admitted they feared losing not only the game but also genuine friendships they had built throughout the season. Those heartfelt moments reminded viewers why Survivor continues to resonate after so many years. Beneath the blind sides and strategy, the show remains deeply human. The immunity challenge was one of the season's most intense competitions yet. Players balance on narrow footholds while holding increasingly heavy equipment above their heads. The tropical heat pushed everyone to their limits. Several contestants dropped quickly, but a few remained locked in an exhausting battle for safety. At one point, it seemed impossible to predict who would outlast the others. Finally, after nearly an hour, one competitor collapsed from exhaustion, giving another player the crucial immunity necklace. The win completely shifted the strategy for the night, because the person many considered the biggest target was suddenly untouchable. As Tribal Council approached, chaos erupted. Plans changed multiple times within only a few hours. Names were thrown around non-stop. Some players pushed for a safe, predictable vote, while others desperately wanted to break apart the strongest alliance before it reached the final 7 intact. One strategic player quietly orchestrated conversations across both sides of the beach, planting seeds of doubt everywhere they went. By sunset, nobody truly knew where the votes were landing. The editors masterfully built suspense heading into Tribal Council. Confessionals contradicted one another. Players whispered during the walk to Tribal. Even longtime allies seemed uncertain about the plan. At Tribal Council, Host Jeff Probst immediately sensed the tension. The discussion centered around trust, timing, and fear. Players spoke carefully, often avoiding direct answers while clearly sending subtle messages to one another. One contestant compared the game to walking through a minefield blindfolded, while another admitted that surviving one vote often guaranteed nothing at the next. As the questioning intensified, the camera repeatedly focused on nervous faces. Across the jury bench, former castaways clearly understood a major move was about to happen. Then came the vote. One by one, the ballots revealed a shocking split. Gasps spread across Tribal Council as it became obvious the majority alliance had fractured completely. In the end, one of the season's biggest strategic players was blindsided in devastating fashion. Their torch-snuffing moment felt symbolic for the entire season. Despite dominating socially and strategically for weeks, they ultimately suffered the same fate as countless powerful Survivor players before them, becoming too dangerous to keep around. As they exited, the eliminated castaway smiled sadly and admitted they probably should have seen it coming. The remaining players returned to camp stunned by what had just happened. Some celebrated pulling off a massive move, while others realized they may have created an even bigger problem for themselves moving forward. Episode 11 perfectly captured the essence of modern Survivor. Advantages, idols, and twists may define the new era, but the core truth of the game remains unchanged. Eventually, every alliance cracks, every power player becomes a target, and every contestant learns the same painful lesson. In Survivor, no one is ever truly safe. With the final 7 now set, the battle for the title of sole survivor feels more unpredictable than ever. Friendships are weakening, trust is evaporating, and the jury is watching every move closely. If episode 11 proved anything, it's that the road to the end will only become more ruthless from here.